We're jumping into it, chat. I hope you're ready. Let's see what we got here. We got Hanzo McCree coming out of the rain. They're playing the Orisa double shield. They love playing this double shield. Pretty weird to see the Baptiste, not gonna lie. With a McCree and a Hanzo, would probably have preferred to see a Baptiste. That way, you get more poke, you get immortality field if they dive onto your Hanzo or McCree. I mean, rallies or a rally and armor pack is pretty good for that too. You get the amplification matrix for 2 spam heroes. Meanwhile, for Fusion, we have the Torb May coming out. They're afraid of any Tracer shenanigans. Do like the Baptiste. Because both May and Torb can spam through that window and make use of it. The Lucio is a bit of an odd one. I guess they're using the Lucio because they have a May. So if they can't find opportunities to place down the May wall for Sado, they do want to do that and take initiation. I'm a bit surprised. No, I'm not surprised. I would have liked to see Sen. It doesn't fit into these compositions, in my opinion. But I think Zenyatta is a fun hero. So hopefully we'll see more Zenyatta down the line. Weird white blob on the left side. That is probably me. I'm sorry, Ricoen. Anyway, so we're going to see Atlanta Reign. They're probably gonna chill up here. Philly, they're leaning towards the point, so they're probably gonna get point control, but they're still lurking here in case they can get a nice Ivy wall with Funny Astro speed boost. They do want to see if they can capture either Gator or Hawk. Because Reign, given that they don't have a Lucio, they have to be very cautious about the speed boost aggression coming out from Fusion. That's the advantage that Fusion has. Meanwhile, Reign need to sort of peel back with the composition they have. And that's why I'm like, okay, well, you're playing Brig. You might as well just have a Baptiste if you're going to peel back to lay in some damage from afar. And then the amplification matrix for future use. So they're capping the point right now. Ivy and Funny Astro capping the point. Atlanta sees this as an opportunity to engage because they're like, oh, some people are on the point. That means they're not entirely grouped up. We're going to move up. Masa helps create some space. Very split team. They're very split right now, and that's because they want to avoid the May wall. May wall instead gets used to make up for the broken Reinhardt shield. And this is what happens when you have a spam composition like Atlanta Reign. They're going to start breaking shields, and Fusion will have to spend abilities trying to peel off. We'll see what happens down the line, though. So, Fusion are a bit of a tough position here. They just want to speed boost around any of these corners. They have the point control, but they do want to be the aggressor because they have that Lucio. So they want to speed onto someone. They're finding Gator right now, and they're probably going to speed, just like try to move him down. This is a weird position because Baby is right on top of them. Gator uses Fortify. That pretty much tells Fusion that they won't be able to kill Gator at all because, I mean, Gator will have like armor pack and all that stuff. Already have the amplification matrix. Will they be able to punish Hawk? They need Sado's hammer to close out when he's using the sock. I don't know what that ability is called. The sock. It's probably some gravity shit name. I don't know. 4-man flashbang from Baby. Yeah, I wonder how much ultimate that charges. Maybe like 5%. So yeah, Fusion is in a bit of a tough position, but they do have point control. So they already have 20%, which is not bad. Like, if you're Fusion and you just die in this corner, I mean, you'll still have like 25-30%, which is not terrible when you think about it. I mean, they have no position and they're just trying to solve. Oh, Funny Astro. If you can boot Baby Bay off, that would be huge, because then Philly can... Oh, they just kill him. Okay, Baby Bay fed. So, I mean, Reign, they're just spamming away here. They kind of just spamming away, hoping to find more picks. In this case, Baby Bay got picked, which is really bad for them. Masa comes in and tries to get some more damage in. Immortality field. Masa can't do anything about that. A Hawk can, however. And Edison. But Masa's just going to die here. He tried to make something happen, but he's just going to die. And this is why I'd rather have seen a Baptiste coming out the rain, I think. Because then Baptiste could have played with Baby Bay here. They both could have spammed down. And that added pressure probably would have made something happen. Because he tries to... Now Masa tried to force it with the Brigitte, and he didn't... They have BAP? Oh, sorry. There's another hero I'm thinking of. Should they have played Baptiste then? They might have just... Yeah, they should have maybe just played Baptiste then. I don't really like the Brig. I don't really like the Brig in this composition. But give the players the benefit of the doubt. Because they're the pro players. Anyway, Fusion just kind of clears this up after they got a pick on Baby Bay. And then they got a pick on Masa as well. Maybe they thought Carpe would play Tracer. Yeah. I mean, it's a safer rollout, perhaps. You still have Baby Bay on McCree. I don't know how much that helps. They're not playing a Torb in this composition, which... You know. Torb, Hanzo, kind of deal the same amount of damage, really. You don't have that Hanzo ultimate you can combo up with Orisa. So here we see the Hanzo. That would have been kind of a neat dragon in case... Yeah, I mean, Gator's there. It's sort of like a peeling dragon. They're using it to like zone away Philly. But again, Philly are just initiating because they have the Lucio. They want to be the first aggressor. They don't want to give Atlanta any space whatsoever. Because then you end up like last time. Where Philly are just stuck on the point. So they want to get out away from that point. That's a pretty decent shatter. Baby Bay kills Funny Astro. So Philly doing a good job currently engaging with the Lucio. Denying Atlanta any kinds of space. Atlanta still just wants to get those spam angles. Hawk is over here for some reason. Hello. Goodbye, Hawk. 78%. So Rain hasn't gotten into a position where they can reliably spam. Okay, so we see the Tracer come out of Edison. Bit of a desperation pick. I mean, you have one fight to try and make something happen. It's a bit unfortunate because now you have the window. Oh, Dogman and Baby just picked. Well, that's about the end of that. Philly just played that well. Atlanta didn't really force them to do anything. I mean, you just get picked on the balcony there. Nothing you can really do about it. Atlanta had their opportunity in the first fight, but then Baby Bay got picked. Masa tried to force something because he was stuck on the Brigitte and couldn't really contribute to the team. Because, I mean, if the other team has Lucio and you don't, and you play Brigitte, like, you're just going to get run over. So, probably would have liked to see a Sen if you're going to play that slow. How are things? Things are good, Lico. How are things for you?
5, 4, 3, 2,
Daniel. Hello, hello. Alright. Symmetra TP. Still playing the Baptiste. Baptiste Brigitte. I do want to see how it plays out when Masa contributes and they have a good team fight. Because, I mean, they're playing this for a reason. So I want to see how it looks like when Masa and Dogman actually like contribute and play well together. And see how that works. How that works in game. Fusion again playing the Lucio. This is probably going to be like ring around the Rosie quite a bit. Because Fusion can't really drop on the point because over time Atlanta will just end up killing them. I mean, Atlanta have the Tracer though, so they've lost some shield span with Edison on the Tracer. That's another fact you have to keep in mind. But yeah, Philly just wants to speed over, and we're seeing some ring around the Rosie. So Philly are chasing because they have the Lucio, and they can't stand too far away. This is sort of like Nepal Sanctum. Think about this as Nepal Sanctum, where you have the point in the middle, and then you have some high ground all around it. And if you have the engaged composition, you always want to try to capture your opponent off guard, try to flank them, etc. Some pretty good positioning here from Atlanta. They're trying to peel away. Carpe's over here, just like being a menace in the back. So, good job by Philly here to sort of like collapse onto Atlanta from many angles. Sado's running low. Edison? Edison's going there. Let's see what Edison did this fight. Because he's playing the Tracer and he's just kind of like solo playing. So here you have Atlanta. Where is Edison? Is Edison just with the team? No, where's Edison? Here he is. Shooting alarm for a bit. Trying to poke. I mean, he's just poking away. He's not dealing tons of damage. But he's waiting for an opening. And I mean, that is the opening. It's sort of like an execute. Like, Edison just comes in. Because tanks are so large, deals tons of damage. Gets the pick onto Sado. So, I mean, Atlanta sets Edison up for the picks. What's up, David? How's it going? Running this comp for 2 maps? Yeah, but I don't blame them. That's how hero pools worked, right? Like, it worked in practice. Atlanta runs it. Try the rest. So, Atlanta gets a pick. That's going to be the end of that, pretty much. See if Carpe can get some more value. Carpe didn't really get any value. He had to he needed to peel off Tracer in that pass engagement. I respect the flank, but his job was to shut down Edison, and Edison came in with a flank. Shot Funny Aster and saw a bit in the back. So once again, Fusion, they have an amplification matrix here. You could use that to set up Carpe and Ivy and sort of get some position. Because naturally, Atlanta Rain, they won't be able to deal with all of the damage from an amplification matrix. So you want to use that to force Atlanta Rain to move around the point. Can't hear in-game audio? Well, that's quite bad. Can anyone else hear in-game audio? I mean, there's a lot of in-game audio happening right here. Okay, everyone can. Okay, so Carpe picks up the kill on Edison. Doing his job. Playing the Torb. Amplification matrix came out. Not the best amplification matrix in the world. Alarm. I know you're a fantastic player. This one, however, not very easy to get the value from if you're the Philadelphia Fusion. Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. That's fine. Sigma comes out. They're using the High Noon as well. That's a pretty interesting position. Nice wall coming out of Ivy. This doesn't block it though. Gets the pick on the Fury. So Atlanta are committing a lot of ultimates here. They committed 4 ultimates so far. Clean up. If you're a Fusion player here, you're kind of like, okay, well that sucked. We really wanted the point, but we got 4 ultimates out. Could be worse. Next fight is going to be really important because Atlanta Rain will have a difficult time winning the next fight. That being said, I think Supercharger has the highest win rate out of any ultimate. Like when you place it, it wins you the most fights out of any ultimate in the game. So Atlanta, if they can utilize Gator's Supercharger here, that'd be good. But this is a fight that Fusion has to win. Not only because of the percentage, but because the way ultimates played out. Edison poking away. So if you're Fusion here, you have Lucio, so you can speed and get closer to Atlanta. Carpe wants to use its Molten Core to cut off the flanks, because what we've seen so far this match is just teams playing Ring Around the Rosie. Like Atlanta Rain running away, poking, trying to find a pick for Edison. Fusion wants to use Molten Core here to prevent Atlanta from running away, and that's going to allow them to run onto the tanks, etc. So you see Molten Core being used. Doesn't get a ton of value. Not the greatest position because they're up on the high ground now. Edison ends up getting picks here. This is bad for the Fusion. But the idea there was good. The idea was good, but the execution was poor. Because if we go back, what ended up happening was it was the wrong time to use it. Because Carpe wanted to use it, but it didn't have the angle to appropriately put it down. So like they use it here. Like where is he going to put it to block Atlanta? He needs to like lob it up onto the bridge. But there's stuff in the way. He needs to go here and then just skill shot, like lob it onto the bridge. Like that's not going to happen. Like that's super hard. Like he tries, but it's like he even misses. So good idea, bad execution. Atlanta Rain comes around, Edison hits the stuff. Because also you have to keep in mind, when the Torbjorn uses the Molten Core, that's an opportunity for Edison to come in, because you don't have the you don't have Edison's gun to sort of peel him away. And so as long as you can avoid the turret, I mean, Torbjorn isn't much of danger for a Tracer when he's using the Molten Core. So Fusion comes in. Well, desperation attempt. Supercharger is out. Baby Base just chatting it up against Sado. But I mean, this is a 3 versus 5 sort of. Fusion looked worse with Furion. Did it look worse with Furion? I don't know what the starter lineup is going to be. I think both Poco and Fury are exceptional off-tank players. And I couldn't tell you which one is better on Sigma. I don't think we've had enough footage to actually deem that appropriately. Fury has an incredible diva, but Poco has played insane so far. So it's like, okay, Poco is having an extraordinarily good season. And so despite Fury being as good as he is, you kind of have to put Poco in there because he's actually playing so well right now. So for the Sigma, I do not know how that changes things. So Fusion here, bit of a gamble, honestly. So they're going out with the Tracer. I think Tracer is really good on this map because you have so many areas you can flank here. You can sort of get in here, get in the back. You can get around here. Like there's a lot of corners where like teams will often stand in chokes like this. Teams will stand here. Teams will be here. Like there's a lot of corners for a Tracer to flank around here. I think anyway. Torbjorn turret is of course going to be annoying, but there's no Torbjorn. Like Atlanta haven't shown a Torbjorn yet, so Carpe is sort of taking a risk here. Rain is also taking a bit of a educated guess. So far in the series, Atlanta Rain have seen Philly play May and Torbjorn. So Baby Bay is not expecting a Tracer. He's expecting Philadelphia Fusion to once again play the Torbjorn, play the May. Widowmaker is great against both of those heroes. So Atlanta Rain with an educated guess on a point that is pretty good for a Widowmaker. But Carpe comes out with the Tracer. Probably because teams have played Widowmaker in scrims, honestly. Like Fusion probably have played some teams. And they've played the May Torb. And they're like, okay, we can't play May Torb on this map. Because people are just going to pick Widow. So Carpe might be doing an educated guess as well. Thinking teams might bring out the Widowmaker here. And therefore he picks Tracer. I don't think he's just giving up the May Tour because they lost it round. Like, I think it's an educated pick on how this map plays out in scrims. So, if you're Fusion here again, you want to engage and you want to find openings for Carpe. It is going to be quite difficult because if Carpe is not on Baby Bay, Baby Bay is going to find picks like this. Edison doing a good job of like pushing from two sides. So if you're Rain, right now you have Edison pushing from one side, Baby Bay from one side, and then you have the main tanks like Orisa and Sigma on the point with a Zenyatta and shit. So there's a lot going on here for Atlanta Rain. A lot of angles to navigate. And Fusion have to sort of pressure those points away. Worth noting that Dogman is now playing the Zenyatta, so they're playing Zenyatta Baptiste. Do like that. In this composition, I do think you could have gotten away with a Lucio. Because you're playing pretty fast with a Tracer and a Widowmaker. But it's pretty interesting how the Zenyatta boosts the core of the team while you have Tracer and Widowmaker on the flank. So how does how does Fusion deal with all these pressure points that they're dealing with? So they need to find a way to deal with at least two of these. Realistically, right? Like, Carpe has to shut down Baby Bay or peel away Edison while the rest of Fusion rolls over the core of the team. So you have to decide now with your Fusion, how are we going to manage our resources to deal with everything that the Rain is throwing at us. So they're playing these walls right now. They could just go towards the point because they have a May. They might want to use that May wall. Fury is going to pick Wrecking Ball. Quite honestly, a pretty good pick because the Atlanta Rain, they're playing so fast with so many different pressure points, like 3 different ones, Tracer, Widowmaker, and the core of the team, that picking the Wrecking Ball is going to speed up the pace at which Fusion can deal with all of these things going on. So I could see Fury now just single-handedly trying to deal with Baby Bay, and if Baby Bay peels towards the core of the team, towards Gator, Hawk, Dogman, and Masa, that's going to allow Fury to collapse with his team. So it's a pretty good pick to clear out the areas around Atlanta Rain to ensure that Baby Bay has to play with his team. And if Baby Bay plays with his team on the Widowmaker, it's going to get easier for Fusion to deal with all of these things happening at once. So like Atlanta Rain being stacked up here as 6, this is good for the Fusion. However, if Edison is over here, and then you have like Baby Bay in the back here, or maybe you have like Baby Bay in this angle here, that's going to be annoying for the Fusion because they can't deal with all of those things all at once. So they're picking the Wrecking Ball to sort of scout all of this area, like clear all of this area, minimizing the space at which Baby Bay can snipe from. And as they're stacking up, Fusion has a better composition. So you can see Fury are rolling around the edges. Edison might deal with Fury a bit. It's hard as a Tracer to chase a Wrecking Ball though. You can get some damage in, but it's hard to get a pick. So now you can see how they're scouting the areas. Like Fury is scouting over here, Carpet's coming in from the back, and now the Rain are stacked up. It's go time for Philly. Tons of damage coming through. Dogman is low. Immortality Field needs to go out. I would suspect. Ooh. He booped them up, so the Fire Strike missed. Carpet gets the pick. Immortality Field is out. And meanwhile on the point, you can see them. We can see that again. How the core group gets dealt with. So because of the Wrecking Ball, because of the Tracer, they've sort of hauled Rain in. Like they've gathered all of the Rain into one area, and that's where they can properly strike. So now you see them fighting on the point. They're pressuring the back line. They're pressuring the front line. Maywall comes through. Atlanta Rangers fighting for their lives right now. And instead, now, because they're playing the faster characters, Carpe and Fury sort of can determine what space is being used by both teams. Is this looking close? Sado low, Fury low. No, Fusion has this. Or do they? Hawk? Masa? No. Carpe recalled. He was very low. Could have gotten picked, but he got low, so. So it's very interesting, right? Like the way you saw that played out is like Philly has played like a core composition. They're playing the Mei, they're playing the Torbjorn, they're playing as 6 as a team in previous rounds. And then this round, Rain responds by adding so much space around themselves and like grabbing all the space and making it hard for Fusion to pick a point to engage on. So the response from Philadelphia is to pick a composition that has way more tempo, way more mobility, to sort of wrangle in the Atlanta Rain. They want to wrangle in all of these heroes because they have the better head-to-head composition. And so they wrangle in the Atlanta Rain using the mobility of the Wrecking Ball, using the mobility of the Tracer. And when they've like acquired all of the Atlanta Rain in with one close area, that's when they strike, and that's when they engage, and that's when they have the better composition. So, as a response, you'll see Baby Bay on the McCree. Makes it easier to deal with Fury and Carpe compared to a Widowmaker. So, very neat. Very good job from Philly. That's very impressive, actually. Very smart. So now again, where is Fury? Fury's over here. So now, as a response, Atlanta knows they cannot stack up as 6 members because they are going to get beaten by Fusion's composition. So what do? They split up into groups of 2. So you see one core main group on the point, and you see the supports and Baby Bay as another group. So instead of 3 pressure points, Atlanta are now playing 2 pressure points. Because they know if they're just one big group, Fusion are just going to kill them. Because they're not playing like a big snowball kind of composition with the Tracer and the McCree. So instead of playing 3 pressure points, they've adapted and are now playing 2. Because they think they have the better chance to win when they're split into 2 groups. I think it's going to be hard for Atlanta to recapture this point when you're playing the Sigma Risa. I think they're just going to get run over like this, sort of. But they're making it harder. They're making it harder for Fury and Carpe to do anything because they're split into these groups. That's a great pulse bomb. Is that just going to win them the fight? No, great immortality field.
Cease your resistance.
Edison finds a pick. They're staying alive. Very good adaptation from Atlanta Reign. So like just what I talked about right there. Like Atlanta Reign, they recognize the win condition of the Philadelphia Fusion. They split into two groups, making it harder for Philly to dive and wrangle all of those players in. So like you have a stack from the Atlanta Reign. Let's see where this is demonstrated best. Tanks are gonna go to the point. Okay, so realistically, some kind of way I would draw this out would be that you have the tanks and you have the support and a McCree, and they're split into two groups. I mean, obviously in this composition, Edison is just kind of doing his thing, but the main part of the play is these two groups. So when you think about it, Philly playing the Tracer and Wrecking Ball had to then consider, okay, where do we go? A Tracer and a Wrecking Ball, I don't think it's going to be able to deal with this alone. So they're kind of forced to pressure these tanks away and try to run them over. But that's going to allow Dogman, Baby Bay, and Masa to have space to actually do their thing over time. So over time, Atlanta is going to win this matchup because they're split into two groups now, which makes it harder for Carpe, Fury, and the rest of the team to actually deal with all of Atlanta Reign over time. So yeah, we see this fight play out. Transcendence, Amplification Matrix. I mean, Atlanta are using a ton of ultimates here. But still, I mean, you can see how clearly these three are just playing together. In this case, Gator goes down. Hawk is kind of spreading out because he's trying to navigate all of what Philly are throwing at them. And then you also have Edison kind of helping out on the point, close range kind of stuff. But this core group and then this loser kind of group, because Edison is just gonna do his thing, but they're trying to apply some point pressure. So it's more than just abilities and that shit thrown at each other. Like there's tactics involved, there's positioning involved. This is exciting Overwatch in my opinion. So they recapture based on playing those two groups. Let's see if Fusion can adapt. So they changed back to the Orisa. They're now playing the Torb. Okay, this is, again, great adaptation. So Fusion recognizes that, okay, Atlanta, they're going to play this composition. Split into two groups. You have the tanks and you have the backline. Okay, they're not placed in these circles, but this is theoretical, like going back to the last fight. So what does Fusion do? They pick a snowball composition. Because they know, like, okay, we don't have to play the Wrecking Ball. We don't have to play the Tracer. Because we don't have to deal with this as we're dealing with this. If we're the Fusion right now, pick this lineup. Let's deal with one of these. And if we win against one of these as a team, dominantly, we're going to win the fight. So they pick a snowball composition. They're playing the Torb, they're playing the Mei, and they play double shield. And they say, okay, well, we're just going to ignore the backline because we don't really need to fight it. So we're just going to fight this one frontline engagement. Okay? And they're probably just going to delete Gator and Hawk. And like, what does the Rain do? It's like, okay, well, Gator and Hawk is dead. Let's take our two supports and a McCree and push the rest of Philly's team. Like, it's not as viable. Like, Fusion has the better composition. And the Widowmaker at the start of the round was a great way to sort of work around that and force Fusion to adapt. But now we're back to a point, because there's only two groups now for the Atlanta Reign, where Philly feel comfortable grouping us as a team of 6 and just running over the Atlanta Reign. So if I'm right, this is not going to be an overcomplicated fight. It depends on how Rain deals with it. We have a high noon coming out. That could create some space. We could see a pulse bomb from Edison. I mean, this is very close. Okay, they get a pick on Edison. Alarm goes down. That's a bit of a worry. My camera skills are phenomenal. But just look at the adaptation. Look at the adaptation. I mean, alarm is down, okay? But just look how grouped up Philly are. And they're like, okay, we're just going to run up to the point and just secure this area. And with that, Philadelphia believes that they are going to win this round. Look at them. Look how stacked they are. This is way different from what we saw earlier in the round. Earlier in the round, we saw Fury over here. So like Carpe like over here. We saw some Philly guys over here. Atlanta, they played here. They played here. But the adjustment from Philly is like, okay, you want to play two groups? We're just going to run over one of them. Hawk and Gator. I know Baby Bay is dead. I know Edison died. But like, you can see the core concept being played out in terms of positioning right here. This is beautiful adaptation from both teams, honestly. But Fusion has the upper hand in this one. And they just kind of deal with Atlanta one by one. It's going to be interesting to see how Atlanta engages on this. Because now you have the high noon. So Fusion, again, they want to engage, but I don't think you want to force it too much. If you force it too much, the engage composition from here, you risk doing unforced errors if you're the Fusion and you push out too hard with this composition now. You can sort of allow to just play the point and play time, I guess. I mean, you can't really, because Atlanta has 98%. So you have to win every fight the best way possible. This is going to be a hard fight for both teams, quite honestly. Because Atlanta has to be really careful that Philadelphia Fusion don't just like roll over them. At the same time, Philly has to be really scared about Baby Bay's high noon and Edison's pulse bomb at the same time. That's a lot to worry about. And there's an amplification matrix. There's a tons of ultimates coming up for Atlanta Rain here. So this is going to be a very tough fight for both teams. So amplification matrix comes out. Wall to deny the amplification matrix. Pulse bomb comes out. Not the best target perhaps to put it on Fury, because we know that Orisa has that fortify. Let's see how Edison comes in with the pulse bomb here. Where is he? He's in the back. He just kind of places it on Fury. I don't think that's a great pulse bomb. I don't know what it was hoping for. Unfortunate with this May wall is that the May wall doesn't block the window, so the amplification matrix helps killing the May wall. So I don't get value from the pulse bomb. I'm dropping frames, but it's fine. There's a lot coming out from Fusion here. How did they turn this fight around? I mean, at this point, it's just ultimates, right? Fury goes down. Sun barrier. Oh, that was so close. Jesus Christ, that was so close. If he stuns that out, Atlanta wins this match. Or this round. This map. Here comes the zoning high noon out. Because they know that Philly has... Baby Bay knows that Philly has committed already this fight, right? So with less resources available for Philly, because they've spent so many already, he uses it to try and capture them off guard. Doesn't get anything, because Philly manages to avoid it. But that's the way of thinking. Just like, okay, Philly has low resources, they're pushed up. Now's the time to try to capitalize on their low resources and try to find a pick when they don't expect it. Doesn't get anything, unfortunately. Baby Bay, please don't feed. There's a lot going on here. Fury comes back on the wrecking ball solely because it's overtime. It's overtime, he wants to get back faster. Orisa's not the best for that. Carpe kind of pops off.
Cease your resistance.
Let's go back. Watch Carpe's point of view. Damn. Best Torb in the league? Question mark? Bad chase from Baby Bay. Baby Bay giveth, Baby Bay taketh. But yeah. A lot of ultimates coming out there from the Philadelphia Fusion. From the Atlanta Reign, but Philly deals with it over time. Edison didn't get tons of value. I think Hawk got some value, right, from his Gravitic Flux, but not enough. Like, if Hawk would have used his Gravitic Flux first, and then Edison would have come in with the Pulse Bomb, I think that would have been better. Okay, so 99.99. I don't think there's going to be... I don't think this is going to be a particularly close fight. Fusion has the Reinhardt ultimate. Gators lacking a shield back on the Wrecking Ball because of time. Carpe has a space denying Molten Core. Masa picks the Brig. Probably because he wants to help establish some kind of point control. Remember, you're playing against Fusion. And the Fusion, as I'm trying to draw, they're playing this composition. So you want the Brig to sort of help this front line to protect from all of this. If you're playing a Zenyatta or a Baptiste over here, like Dogman's playing the Baptiste, but if you're playing a Zen, like you can't help your tanks and you're just going to get steamrolled. So they're picking the Brig so they can deal with this point control a bit easier. Doesn't know. What do I not know? Good shatter. Doesn't capitalize on the shatter though. Molten Core comes out. Carpet just rolls them over with the Molten Core. Very, very... one of the greatest rounds. That was honestly one of the most spectacular rounds of Overwatch I've seen in a very long time. Like, the strategic and tactical adaptation makes that an incredibly exciting round for me to watch. Because there is so much strategical adaptation that goes on. And a lot of brilliance, quite honestly. Like, that's an incredible round of Overwatch. That's so much fun to watch, in my opinion. Because it's sort of like, there's a lot of chaotic stuff going on, but at the same time, it all makes sense, right? Like, it all makes sense. The adaptations make sense from everyone. So it's sort of like organized chaos, and that's beautiful. That's really beautiful.